This is Msmc TV News with Alexis Mullen and Anthony Nostro and the Msmc TV News Team.
Welcome to the Spring Semester Show of Msmc TV. I'm Anthony Nostro.
And I'm Alexis Mullen. It's hard to believe this school year is almost over. So much has happened here at Mount St. Mary College. New majors, new students, a brand new president, and a family of Eagles. Today, we're going to share a few stories researched and reported by our MSMC TV reporters. Stories that affect the lives of students and faculty on our campus, as well as all of our Orange County neighbors.
The Newburgh Armory was a shell of a building 7 years ago. Now, it's a thriving community. We spoke with Robert Pagliaro, who's the assistant to the director of the Armory. Hello, everyone, and welcome to MSMC TV. Here with Robert Pagliaro, I'm Anthony Nostro, your host, live at the Newburgh Armory. Robert, thank you for the time. So, being located in an impoverished area such as Newburgh, how important is it that you guys are able to help the wide demographic of people that you do?
Yeah, so, growing up in Newburgh here, went to elementary school, high school here, and I know some of the fundamental realities, but I think I'm fortunate to never really seen it that way. So I think that what's great about the Armory is that we focus on education, which is an opportunity for everyone, and obviously we know that education is a way to kind of get out of financial burdens that you maybe have been experiencing as a community. So I think that's what's great about the mission of the Armory, and we take it very seriously.
I know the Army hosts many sports programs. Could you tell us about what kinds of programs and how they help benefit both the adults and children?
So we do have sports programs, especially on Saturday mornings. We have, Chris Hawkins Field, which is like the premier soccer field, indoor soccer field around here. We have a basketball class. I think what's most important just for us to stress, though, is that what's unique about our sports programs is that you cannot take a soccer or basketball class without having one academic class. So we're really helping build scholar athletes, which is our #1 mission.
Is being able to help and mentor the children important skills and values something that the Army takes pride in?
Oh, absolutely, and that comes from the chairman of the board, my boss, Mr. William Kaplan, that we really stress life lessons. So that starts with the handshake policy, right when you walk in on a Saturday morning especially. You have to shake hands with the greeter, if you will, at the front. And it's always about respect. Everything that we do is rooted in respect. That's like the primary foundation. Life lessons about being on time, being prepared, being respectful. Those are our core focuses on Saturday morning.
And do you believe that the Armory is a place that can help sculpt and change a child's future for the better?
I really do believe that, and I take a lot of pride and do a lot of work with making sure that every single person believes that here in the Armory, because that's how our mission has been so successful, especially in the last 3 or 4 years, that everyone is taking pride in the fact that we can have a major impact, and the biggest impact we can have is through education.
The Mount St. Mary students do charity work here at the Armory. If you could just let us know what type of work that they do here.
Mount St. Mary's is a collaborative partner with the Armory since its inception 7 years ago. Between Dr. Bixler, and that's really started it, and now we've worked with a variety of different people. Obviously, the marketing department, Dr. Goldberg or Mr. Goldberg. Long story short is that our whole mission is powered by volunteers, and the Mount is the model representation of that. We have at least 15 Mount students that come here every Saturday, and we'd love to have more come. We have over 28 classes from graphic design, computer programming, dance, guitar, chess, reading, and we are grateful for the Mount students that have come, that have made us successful, but we would love to have more, even more Mount students come in the future.
All right. So thank you so much for the time, Robert. This was Anthony Nostro for MSMC TV, live at the Newburgh Armory. Back to the studio.
With national talks of gun control and the possibility of arming teachers, we went out to talk to faculty about how to be safe and secure on campus.
Good afternoon. My name is Justin Martinez, reporting for MSMC TV, doing the man on the street about security at Mount St. Mary College. I'm here with 2 college students at Mount St. Mary College. Well, what's your concern with the security here, and do you feel like the security needs to be upgraded more, or just do you feel safe the way it is?
Honestly, I have no complaints with our security here at school. They're available. If you ever need help, you can always contact them. They're ready to help. I feel safe at night walking back from class to my dorm, so I have no problems.
I think I would agree. I don't think I've ever felt unsafe here. Like walking back, I've had late night classes going till like 10, and I've never felt unsafe walking in the dark back to class or like even walking alone back from class.
How do you feel about like the front gates not like having a security guard around all the time? Do you feel safe, or do you feel worried that someone from the outside could just enter at any time?
I have no concerns. Honestly, I don't mind just being able to pull up and go right through. I mean, some people might think of that as being an issue, but I don't think it's ever been one, and it's easy for my friends to just pull up and go through.
I definitely do think that there should be someone in there, just especially with like the amount of like shootings and like school breaches there have been in like the past year. Like, I think that putting someone in there wouldn't hurt us, and at the same time it would definitely help.
Do you feel safe on campus, or do you feel like there should be more security around the campus, keeping a lookout?
I definitely feel safe on campus. We have our emergency blue light system. I think 22 of them on campus, so that's, you could see probably like 2 or 3 from each spot on campus. We have 2 security cars roaming around campus every 24/7. There's usually someone at the gate, as well as people in the freshman dorms as well, and we do have our security in Hudson too.
Do you feel safe on campus, or do you feel like there should be more security trying to look for, just on the drive, like parking lots, and then in the main gate, there's barely any security guards watching who's coming in and out of the building?
I definitely agree that, there should be somebody at the main gate at all times. And I do feel safe, but also in a sense I could feel a lot safer if the school was protected. And I mean, the school is protected now, but I feel like the presence of the security is to a bare minimum. And just because something hasn't happened yet, then that's a reason for them to say, oh, no, it's fine. We have a fine amount of security because nothing has happened, but that's just taking a risk. And I believe that, there's certain things that can be prevented as far as, increasing security by having somebody in that booth at 24/7, along as, somebody patrolling the courts, because that is an area where it's a public road. So I believe cars are allowed to travel back and forth, with free will, and that impedes the lives and safety of those upperclassmen that we have at the school. And I believe that somebody should be there monitoring that, making sure nothing happens.
And that was the word on the street. I'm Justin Martinez, reporting for MSMC TV. Back to you.
Reporter Paul Ramsey went out on campus to get comments from Mount St. Mary's students about medical marijuana and the dispensary opening up near the Mount.
Today, we'd like to talk about a controversial topic. Ever since Ronald Reagan's war on drugs, the idea of medical marijuana has been very controversial. But in recent studies, we have begun to discover that marijuana does indeed help people with diseases such as ADHD, Parkinson's, and PTSD, because it calms the system down and helps relieve patients of their symptoms. In light of this, many state governments have now begun to decriminalize and legalize the use of recreational and medical marijuana. It appears that our hometown of Newburgh, New York is now home to the latest installment of medical marijuana dispensaries. In light of this news, we decided to get a couple of students' opinions, and here's what they had to say about this new dispensary. First, we asked the students if they were even aware that there was a medical dispensary opening up next to campus.
I have seen it when I was driving.
Okay.
So I knew it was there.
Yes, I just saw it the other day, actually.
No, I was not aware. Okay.
I was aware.
I was actually, yeah.
No, I was not.
Yeah, I heard a little bit about it.
Following this, we asked them how did they feel about a dispensary opening up near campus.
It's definitely a little risky.
I think being it so close to a college, it's a little risky to say.
I think it's good because, like, I know some students that are taking advantage of it.
I don't think it plays a big role. I mean, I'm sure they're going to be strict with it, and you're going to need medical reasons to get in.
I think that it'll be good for all the people who need it medically, but I don't really think that any of the students will be able to do anything about it.
I really don't think anything of it compared to campus. I think it'd be a good thing if people need to get medical marijuana.
I don't really think it's going to have too much of an impact. Granted, college kids are always going to try and get it, but you need a medical card to get medical marijuana.
Afterwards, we asked them how do they feel about the legalization of recreational marijuana and medical marijuana.
I mean, if it helps you medically and you're cleared by a doctor, then I don't see why people can't use it if it helps you.
I approve of both recreational and medical use.
I think that it's a good thing. It's a great alternative to traditional medication that some people might not be able to take.
I think it's perfectly fine to use it if you have a reason to use it.
I think that is a strong need, and medical marijuana is a very good medicine because it is a herb, and that it does actually help people rather than all the stereotypes that people put out to be, like helping anxiety and everything.
I honestly think it's fine. I don't see really a big problem with it.
It definitely does help certain like ailments and illnesses.
I feel medical marijuana is a breakthrough in science. It's very good for people. I know personal people that use medical marijuana, and I feel it's just so good for them. It changed their lives.
Finally, we asked students how did they believe it, having a dispensary could impact the area.
I think it'd probably be a positive change.
Hopefully it'll just help it with tax purposes.
I feel like it's going to impact the area. It's going to make the area more crowded because more people will be coming to the dispensary.
I feel it could have a positive impact for people that have been trying to use marijuana for medicinal purposes and getting it illegally. It can cause problems in the community, and it can increase activity for police. And we don't really need cops going after people for weed. We need them going for harder things. It's Newburgh, after all.
I think it'll be good. I think it'll help everyone.
I think it's going to be helpful. It'll make this available to more people, and it's going to be a great opportunity for people to get the help that they need if they can't use traditional medicine.
Surprisingly enough, most college students don't mind having a dispensary so close to campus. All this reporter has to say is, keep it green, MSMC, and back to Lexi and Tony in the studio.
While the elections for student government may not be front page news at the New York Times, it's an important part of our Mount St. Mary experience. Hello everyone and welcome to MSMC TV. I'm here with Kayla O'Connor, current student body vice president and next year's president. I am your host, Anthony Nostro, here on the Mount St. Mary College campus. Kayla, thanks for the time.
Thank you for having me.
Can you start by telling us a little bit about what it is the president of the student body does here at Mount St. Mary College?
The president of the student body is the liaison between the student body and the faculty and administration here. They run the SGA meetings, they find out what are the issues on campus, and they bring them to the school senate, and we discuss them and try to fix them as best as we could.
Only 4% of students across the nation take place and vote in their student government elections, mainly due to the fact that many of them are commuters. Did that hamper your ability to get votes, and how did you get votes not only for yourself, but just get the word out for the election in general?
Well, to get the word out for the election, we sent out several emails, posters, signage. We posted it on our Instagrams, Facebooks, any social media outlet. And personally, to get votes, I would go up to students, whether them being graduate, undergraduate, commuters, residents. I even talked to faculty and staff and told them what I was about. And then I also gave them a promotional item so they would remember to vote, what date, time, and yeah.
Do you believe that having a large amount of commuters at the school makes your job harder, and if so, how?
I wouldn't say it would make it harder. I would say it makes us look at the bigger picture and how we need to accommodate for everybody. So whether the commuters want to go home early, we would have to have earlier events, whether them being during lunchtime in the View and give them free commuter passes to the View, or them being at 4 p.m. right before they go home so they could grab their free giveaway or participate in an event and they could go on their way home.
How has your experience in the past helped you with the position that you hold today?
I've been vice president for 2 years now, so I have a couple of years under my belt. And I was able to look in the shadows of the current presidents of those 2 years and see what they did right, what they did wrong, what I can improve on, and they would go and be my mentors through it all.
And lastly, what has changed in the 3 years since you've been part of the student government, and how different are things since you first started here?
Well, this coming year, the 2018-2019 school year, we are changing our student government to only focus on issues, and we're dividing it to have a program board and a senate. So programming board is going to have to do with bonfire and spring weekend, and then the Senate's going to have to do with school issues and how we can improve the school all around.
Thank you so much for the time, Kayla. Now, back to the studio. This was MSMC TV.
At Mount St. Mary's Kaplan Pool, people both young and old learn to swim through a new Mount program.
This is Philippe Noisy reporting live from Mount St. Mary College. Every spring and summer, the night swim team hosts the Learn to Swim lessons where children from the community come to learn swimming techniques from basic freestyle to more advanced strokes.
My name is Daniel Drury, head coach of the men's and women's swimming teams here at Mount St. Mary College, also the aquatics director. It started out as a singular fundraising event, kind of a one-off thing that we did in the month of April. That's still the case now. We've just expanded a lot more.
I think it's very important to teach children how to swim. It could save their lives someday. There's all the different ages, so definitely important to get the kids in young and teach them the basics.
I absolutely love little kids, and especially, being able to teach them at such a young age how to swim, whether it's for safety reasons or they want to swim in the future for a team or anything like that.
It gives me extra hands-on experience with children, and that's going to benefit me in my major.
I've taught swim lessons since I was in 7th grade. And when Coach Dan said that he was going to have some, I was all for it because I love teaching kids to swim.
We have one 2-week program in the month of April and then one 2-week program in the month of May. We've got 3 different lesson times, and within each of those lesson times, we've got several different groups.
Typically there's a beginner's group, kind of a more moderate group, and then there's a more elite group.
The young ones, we start getting them comfortable in the water, dip their feet in, have them jump in, teach them how to float on their backs.
The intermediate group kind of works on swimming just to build up stamina, and then they might be working on freestyle techniques.
The older levels, they learned butterfly, backstroke, getting ready for the swim team.
We asked Coach Dan what kind of experience he looks for when selecting instructors.
Knowing how to swim and hopefully doing that at a high level. There's no one specific certification or guideline that we're following, but it's more of what's your experience as a swimmer in the first place. And then how is it that you've learned how to swim, and then how can you share that?
I would recommend it if you want to work with kids in the future, or honestly if you are passionate about teaching people how to swim for safety, because it's really important to learn how to swim, especially at any age, really.
I think it's so beneficial to see the impact that you can have on such young lives. I think it's just really inspiring to be able to give that little piece of what you know to the little kids.
It's very nice. You get to meet a lot of kids. If you like kids, it's a good program to participate in.
Like I said, it's really important for the kids to learn how to swim. It could save their lives. Even if they don't know how to swim, they could at least float up onto their backs and get to the wall. I think it's a really good opportunity to get them involved and meet other kids.
This has been Philippe Noisy. Whether it comes to safety or the desire to join a swim team, Learn to Swim is there for all ages. Now, back to you in the studio.
With finals week approaching, our reporter spoke with Kate Cassidy Kramer about how to cope with stress at the end of the semester.
Finals week is an extremely stressful time for students all across the nation. As we try to make the cut, make the grade, and graduate, things can get a bit hectic. So, we want to learn how to deal with all this emotion and all this stress in our lives. So we here at Night Productions talked to the counseling department, specifically to one Kate Cassidy Kramer. This is what she had to say. Hi, could you please state your name and what it is you do here?
Yeah, I'm Kate Cassidy Kramer, and I'm one of the mental health clinicians on campus.
Okay, so what exactly do counseling services do for the campus?
So basically we offer individual therapy sessions. They're free, they're confidential. We're located in Aquinas 306, and we're open Monday through Friday. Students are welcome to come in and make an appointment. We accept walk-ins for students who are having a bad day or stressed out about something.
Okay, so with finals week coming up, it's a very stressful time in students' lives. What exactly is counseling services going to be doing to provide for the students?
So we certainly welcome students to come in and meet with us. We can, help them with stress management techniques if they want to come. And we're also going to be partnering with the library on the Pause for a Cause event.
Okay. And what is the Pause for a Cause event?
So we have an outside organization that comes in with therapy dogs, and students are welcome to hang out with them for a few hours in the library.
So with finals coming up, it's going to be a huge source of stress for students all across campus. You know, everyone's going to be cramming, everyone's going to be losing their minds trying to make the grade, trying to graduate. Do you have any tips or pointers for students on how to better handle their stress?
So one of the primary ones that we like to promote is exercise. You know, there's this idea of the mind-body connection, and the idea that if your body's healthy and in a good place, that your mind will be clearer, you know, for things like studying.
Okay.
So exercise, eating healthy, sleep hygiene techniques certainly, and you know, kind of separating from external stressors, relationship problems, things going on at home, kind of putting that stuff to the side so that you can really focus on your studies. Deep breathing exercises, which we can certainly teach students how to do, things like that.
Say they don't pay attention to these examples, or they don't try to de-stress themselves and they think they're fine. What could stress possibly do to a student to impact their performance?
So a lot of times it can have, you know, physical somatic effects.
Okay.
People who are undergoing stress tend to have weaker immune systems, so you get sick more easily, you feel off. They can become more irritable, more angry over things they normally wouldn't. They can certainly have more trouble focusing on things, you know, not sleeping, things like that.
Okay, so you would highly recommend just trying to take care of your mental health before anything else?
Absolutely.
Okay. Any final remarks? Any personal tips or pointers you want to give towards the students during this time?
Really just that we want to welcome students to come in and meet with us. Even if you just come in one time, we can certainly try to help.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So having said that, go to the gym, pet your dog, talk to your friends, listen to some music, take a nap, take a break from studying if you need to. Your mental health is worth it. And in the end, it's going to be all the better for your grade. Good luck, MSMC.
A new family has moved into Mount St. Mary College. We had Dean Goldberg speak with Dr. Doug Robinson about the Eagles that have decided to make this college their home.
So, Dr. Doug Robinson is here to talk about our Mount St. Mary Eagle, the nest, and possibly new registrants in the bird world. So, Doug, can you tell us a little bit about how this came about?
In the last week of January this year, we had a pair of bald eagles checking out an abandoned red-tailed hawk nest on campus. And this nest had been abandoned about 4 years ago by a pair of red-tailed hawks. And the eagles showed up one weekend, and they have been occupying it since. So they've been adding sticks and lining material to the nest. They did that for about a month and a half. And then by Pi Day, March 14th, I estimate that the female began incubating an unknown number of eggs.
Fantastic. So we did interview you a couple of months ago. Where were we then, and where are we now?
Well, I believe at the point we were last talked, that was right around the time that they were maybe still building the nest. And so what we found since that point is that the female eventually, again, laid an unknown number of eggs, and she started incubating. Now that incubation period is about 35 days long, and it turns out that we are in the week in which we expect the eggs to hatch. So I had estimated that about April 20th that we would know whether we have babies up in the nest.
Fine, fantastic. Does the weather have anything to do with their birth?
It can, and that's a challenge that all birds face, is that because their developing embryos are outside of their bodies, and those embryos only develop if they are kept very warm. If the weather is pretty cold, that limits the behavior of the individual that's incubating the eggs, or it can slow down development because if the attending parent leaves the nest for a period of time, those eggs can cool down in temperature, which means that their development slows down.
Mm-hmm.
So what we might expect in a relatively cool winter or stormy winter like we've recently had anyway during this incubation period is that it might prolong the incubation period just a little bit.
Now, have we had an audience? Has there been any groups coming in?
That's a good question. We haven't seen quite the traffic, the human traffic that we would have expected. Dr. Sorrow, who is also an ecologist here on campus, he and I have talked, and we contacted the Department of Environmental Conservation to at least put the nest on their radar with the anticipation that we'd have a larger number of people coming by to look at it, and there hasn't been. But that said, I think that once we have juvenile eaglets in the nest, that people will be more excited. Now, on campus, lots of students and faculty and staff have been really excited to get pictures of a bird that normally you would not see unless you were in some wilderness area.
Yes, it's very exciting. It's amazing to see the male eagles sitting there 20 feet away.
So the distance actually that people are supposed to keep from an eagle nest's location is 300 feet.
Wow.
But we, because of the pathways and the sidewalks across campus, probably the minimum distance that we could be is probably 50 feet.
Right.
So, but to that end, the eagles have been perfectly cooperative and have not blinked an eye with the occurrence of people around them.
Socially adept eagles.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen when and if there's little eaglets? What does that look like? How long do they hang out?
Well, the development period can range actually a fairly long period of time. It can go up to about 90 days. So we're talking 3 months of time where the adults are going to be responsible for feeding these basically defenseless individuals who are completely reliant on the adults for food. Now, that will be determined, that length of time is determined by how much food the adults can find. Obviously the weather, if it's cold and wet, that's going to slow down development because the animals have to keep their bodies warm and use that energy, or that energy gets distracted from growing. So we could be looking at eaglets into the middle of summer, depending on how development goes.
And that should be pretty exciting.
That'll be
We'll see
awesome.
A lot of visuals there.
It depends on what the leaf out on the oak tree looks like.
Right.
So there are some spots that the photographers on campus know where they can get a clear shot to the nest, and that'll be our best vantage point to watch them over time.
Terrific. So has this been exciting for you?
Oh, this is amazing. I did work as a master's student on eagles and aerial surveys and ground surveys, and you couldn't get it within a quarter mile of those birds before they left. And here you could stand 50 feet, like I was saying, and take pictures of them, and they don't seem to be perturbed too much.
Right. And they're going to come hopefully within a week or so.
That's what we're looking at, yep.
Fantastic. Dr. Doug Robinson, thank you very much, and back to the studio.
Finally, we wanted to give our colleagues Ethan McCoy and Paul Ramsey a chance to share their personal views on the very controversial issue of gun control. And we would like to invite you to respond with your ideas and opinions on the MSMC Facebook page or on our streaming site.
Personally, I'm a middle-of-the-road kind of guy. I don't believe all guns should be banned, nor do I believe that's even remotely possible. But the fact of the matter is, the average American citizen has no reason whatsoever to own military-grade, fully automatic, semi-automatic rifles. Yes, I support the Second Amendment, but that was written during a time when it took upwards of a minute to reload your weapon, and you can only shoot one musket ball at a person at a time. I personally believe most people in this country have the right to own a firearm. However, there are a few glaring exceptions. People with certain mental illnesses or personality disorders just shouldn't be able to own a gun. People have been convicted for felonies such as murder, assault, rape. They should not be able to own a gun. What we really need is common sense gun laws, extensive background checks and waiting periods, and we need them now. Thoughts and prayers are no longer the answer to this epidemic. They never have been, and they never will be. Since Sandy Hook, there have been at least 1,650 mass shootings. That leaves 1,902 bodies in the ground and almost 7,000 injured. No life is worth a gun. That's an entire lifetime of potential and goodness blown away like it was nothing. If you have a semi-automatic rifle, such as the Armalite 15 or AR-15, then you should not be able to modify it with attachments like a bump stock or a clip that can hold more than 30 rounds of ammo. There's no sensible cause for the average American citizen to own a gun that can theoretically mow down an entire classroom. Yes, you can own a gun, and yes, you can modify it to your liking, but there's no reason whatsoever to have a military-grade hardware for commercial use. What are you going to do with that much firepower? America has her armed forces, and she has her police to protect and serve. She doesn't need you trying to uphold the law. But then again, this isn't Red Dawn. No foreign nation would dare try to invade our soil. And even if they did, we would have our military and our government protecting us and fighting back 3 times as hard. Anti-gun control figures like to rely on the idea of the good guy with a gun. They have this warped fantasy that there will be some stalwart hero, some ordinary Joe who just happened to be at the scene carrying his handgun with him, and he's going to shoot at a potential mass shooter and save the day. Let's make one thing clear. That whole notion is false and irresponsible. The FBI even released a report essentially debunking the entire notion. This report stated that in the 156 mass shootings between the years 2000 and 2013, mass shooting meaning more than 4 people were injured or killed, and it has nothing related to do with gangs or drug violence, whatever. Only one of those shootings was stopped by another citizen with a gun, while the other 16 were stopped by unarmed citizens. Look at shootings like in Tucson, Arizona, Las Vegas, Stoneman Douglas High School, and my home state of Florida. All these incidents could have theoretically been prevented by a good guy with a gun, but as we've seen in all those situations, they didn't. They weren't stopped. Why? Because a good guy with a gun is a statistical improbability that teeters on the edge of impossibility. In conclusion, it's not more guns that we need, but more gun control and smarter gun laws. I'm not saying we should ban guns. We shouldn't. It's unconstitutional and damn near impossible. But we should try our hardest to make our country and our schools safer. Our guns are not worth the lives of innocent men, women, and children. The time for thoughts and prayers is over. It's time for action.
Gun control. Something that's always talked about but never accurately talked about. One of the biggest issues with gun control is the fact that it's full of hypocrisy and is pushed by people who know little to nothing about the subject. One of the biggest things that grinds my gears is the fact that they got these politicians and gun control advocates who basically know jack about what they're talking about. For example, the belief that an AR-15 is a military rifle and is fully automatic is a complete and utter lie. The AR-15, like many other rifles chambered in .556, is semi-automatic, which means one bullet is fired by one pull of the trigger. The term semi-automatic rifle covers such a broad spectrum of rifles that all ban would nearly eliminate every rifle there is. The AR-15 itself can't be bought fully automatic. Guns can't be bought fully automatic. It's 100% illegal. Where you have a law in place, the NFA, the National Firearms Act, outlawed the sale of fully automatic rifles in 1934. Even if you want a fully automatic rifle, there's a ton of paperwork, background checks, fees upward $10,000 you need to pay in some areas. I ain't got that kind of money. The AR-15 is modeled after an M16, which is a military rifle. A common misconception is that AR stands for assault rifle, which no, it does not. It means armor light rifle. This is the company that created AR-15 and many other AR-15 platforms. The other thing that grinds my gears is the fact that people are so concerned over something that's so responsible of such a small number of deaths each year. The other day I saw a post, showed 14,000 pairs of shoes. This is supposed to represent the number of children killed in mass shootings since Columbine. This is one of the most known shootings that took place in 1999. So from 1999 to 2018, 14,000 kids had died in shootings. Do you know what's bigger? 323,999. 323,999 is the number of babies killed each year by Planned Parenthood. If you really care about saving lives of children, why would you let something like that, because so many kids, be such a thing? 248. That's actually the number of kids killed, or people, by AR-15s each year. An AR-15 is not even the most commonly used gun in a shooting. It's handguns. All I have to do is look at Chicago. In 2017, nearly 4,000 people were shot. Of those, 623 were shot and killed. Chicago, like many other states, has extremely strict gun laws. But people, illegally buy them. They can't own guns in the first place.
I am Anthony Nostro.
And I'm Alexis Mullen. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the fall.